This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code GOLFSGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, Dom and I are back after a 2 or 3 week break. Had a great finish to the season. Cashed it
Yeah,
outright. Maverick Manili 33 to 1, whatever it was. So shout out to Dom for that. So that was a crazy little sweat you had. There was a few guys in the mix. And
yeah,
did you get to watch any of that RSM
yeah,
final round?
yeah. I watched him finish out because had the outright, had him in my season long as well. So there's always holds a little bit more weight when you have a dog in the fight, especially when it gets towards the end of that fall swing and it's harder to get yourself in
We
front
were
of the TV to
so
watch golf.
close. Like every single pod
I know.
we each had a guy in the mix finishing the top two to five. So
Yep.
glad you picked one off to end the season. Hopefully we carry up on that momentum heading into Hawaii. And that's where we're gonna start the season as usual at Kapalua, a course we are very, very familiar with, a course that we know how it plays on a yearly basis. And at the end of the day, you gotta get low. So are there any key stats or specifics about Kapalua that you're looking to try and get different, or just looking at the normal stuff in Kapalua?
Pretty much the normal stuff. I mean, like you said, you got to get low. I mean, the last 4 years, 25 under or lower has won the event. So I want to say you need a birdie maker, but like last year throws it off because Chris Kirk won and like he was like outside of the top 100 in birdies the prior year. He didn't really
Right.
come in with any type of form. Obviously, when
Crazy
you
winner.
get a smaller field with some of the best golfers in the world. So obviously pretty much everyone's live, especially we kind of saw that last year. But yeah, if you want to look at birdies, if you want to look at like proximity to the hole and then just off the tee and approach, I mean, you're going to need guys who have a full game and kind of just go that route. So you can almost take any approach. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know how John Rahm called the Amex a piece of shit putting contest? It's kind of this might be the piece of shit putting contest, but
Yeah.
I do think there is some nuance to Kapalua outside of not really tee to green, more like around the green. If you can't, we've seen golfers eject around the greens at this golf course. Shout out Colin Morikawa cashing that John Rahm 7-1 ticket 2 years ago. So you have to be able to chip and be creative around the greens, and I think the winners or the guys that play well generally check that box. Like they can get up and down from places that are normal, because it's just not the greens complexes. They're big, but if you miss in some spots, you're gonna have a difficult up and down. So I think you gotta be a plus ARG player. But also, with that being said, I don't want a guy who is an ARG player, a good scrambler, because at the end of the day, he'd be missing way too many greens. So
Yeah.
like you said, you got to be able to check every box. You got to hit it well, and you got to have a putter heat up. So we'll talk about the odds. We'll talk about the golfers. Let's get right into it. Obviously, Scotty Scheffler leads the way at plus 260. Xander plus 650. Rory 9-1. Those are the big three at the top. The big three that we're probably going to be used to talking about all season long. Those are the only guys under 9-1. So is this the new norm? Plus 250 around for Scotty Scheffler. Are we gonna what's your deal with this?
I think it depends how long he goes without a win, because if he like wins this first event at Kapalua, I mean, we're probably going to see plus 250 or lower almost until further notice. So yeah, I don't know where it really goes from here. It can't get much lower, but
No, right. I mean, like, this is the same number he was at the Hero in like a 20-man field. Obviously, he won there. Now, and then although this is not like a 150-man field, this is a bigger field than the Century's normally has,
yeah,
because it's not the Tournament of Champions anymore. It's just the Century now. So like, it's not. I wonder if this was a 150-man field, if Scotty would be plus 350, like maybe, but still, like, it's crazy that this is the new norm for Scotty Scheffler. And I remember last year, people were saying heading into Bay Hill that 7-1 was too long on Scotty because he didn't know how to putt. Clearly, we saw how that worked out, and I
yeah.
wish there was those numbers hanging on now. But Scotty's played this event before. He's played it decently well enough, but I don't care who it is. I don't want a plus 260 golfer when you got to get to minus 27, just the volatility. Like Chris Kirk winning this event last year, finishing outside of the top 100 in the birdie list, like you said, is just crazy. So there's so much volatility on a course like this where so many putts need to be made.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's probably going to be the same course of action almost every week as long as Scotty's 3-1 or under,
Right.
even
I mean,
5-1 or under. It's hard to throw an outright down. It's not like we're going to go crazy betting outrights, but this is kind of when you get a little bit different and maybe do a couple more each ways or go heavier on like the top 20 route, which obviously the placements aren't out quite yet while we're recording this video, but you can kind of get a feel for where the guys are going to be just based on their outright numbers. So maybe don't throw as much into the pot on the outrights if you're not going to include a guy like Scotty or a guy like Xander. But yeah, I think the placements might be the way to go.
And if you're watching this, you're probably wondering, why are we recording this on a Thursday before we tee off, a week before? I am actually heading out to Hawaii to cover this event, to cover the Sony as well. Going to have the boots on the ground. So you know where to follow me on Instagram. We're going to be a ton of on Twitter. Going to be a ton of content coming to you. So I'm going to find out who's winning this golf tournament when I'm there. So take these picks with a grain of salt. Check back in Wednesday of next week to see where the brain's at. And we'll definitely be talking by then. So, and obviously this is a betting show. The Scotty conversation will probably get a little bit deeper when I do the DFS show because there's definitely more thought into it with then. So let's talk Xander. Yeah. Let's talk Rory. We haven't seen Xander in a while. We saw Rory in Vegas. Thoughts on those two?
I'm actually going with the next one. So,
okay.
I'll end up going with Justin. Yeah, I'll just jump right down to JT. So, obviously a guy who, I don't want to say he's past his prime, but he's definitely not where he used to be. I mean, he's got I think he's 9-1 on Caesars, but you can get a 16 on JT at DraftKings, which is obviously where you would want to go when you're doubling the number. So, used to just destroy this event, used to destroy Hawaii in general. He used to play this and the Sony, and I think he might have won both of them, I think, the 1 year. But from 2019 to 2022, JT didn't finish worse than T5, won the event in 2020. And then towards the end of last season, this is what kind of inclined me to go with Justin Thomas. We saw him start to look a little bit more like himself. He had the solo third at the Hero, T2 at Zozo. So an interesting player heading into the 2025 season. I think he could be set up to have a pretty big year. Yeah.
JT is definitely deserving of the number. I do think it's a little bit expensive for my liking for a guy who really struggles on the greens from time to time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, I don't trust JT. If JT had a 2 in front of that name, I think I would probably at least really consider it. I don't think I'm going to get there at the 16, but I want to talk about the 9-1 on Rory.
Yeah.
Or whatever number you're going to get. Cuz there's a real chance that this is one of the best numbers or the best numbers we see on Rory all year long. This is an event he never plays. Like, he always takes this Hawaii swing off, but he kind of got some slack for skipping some elevated events last year. And when you're the face of the PGA Tour, step up, dude. Play some golf. So Rory's here, and he played well here. He finished 4th here in his only trip. And thinking of golf courses that Rory has succeeded on and played well, a golf course where you have to drive the ball really far and make a ton of birdies. That's kind of what you have to do at Kapalua. So,
yeah.
Like I said, I'm not going to lock anything in now. He's not going to be in my betting card, at least today. But a 9-1 on Rory on a golf course that makes so much sense on him, probably the best number we see on him all year, maybe outside of like a major or two. I can convince myself, and I probably will, when I'm walking those grounds in Hawaii and I see Rory flushing it, hitting high draws in the green. I'm like, how does this guy ever lose? So that's just my Rory brain just already taking over me. We'll see. Any thoughts on Rory? He looked fairly fucking good in Vegas. So I'll say that.
Yeah, he looked good in Vegas. And then just looking at the way he closed out the 2024 calendar year here over on the DP World Tour. I mean, what do you have? 2 second-place finishes, a 3rd, and then he won the DP World Tour Championship to close everything out.
Never thought Rory could have ever won a meaningless event before.
Yeah, I know. So maybe that form heading into this year will kind of carry over. But yeah, like you said, it's a very favorable number. Could definitely argue that it will get lower and should be lower.
All right, let's go down to this next range of golfers. We'll go 20 to 30. Ludwig, Patrick Cantlay, Tommy Fleetwood, Sungjae Im, Hideki Matsuyama, and Victor Hovland. Ever heard of him? He's back and playing golf. So who in this range do you either want to touch on, just start us off?
I kind of like Sungjae at 28.
I thought you were gonna say Tommy, and I was about to be like, we're off the pod.
No. I don't mind Sungjae at 28 to 1. I do wish this number was a little bit longer. Obviously, it's been quite a drought for Sungjae in terms of winning on the PGA Tour. I think 2021 at Shriners was his last win. Yeah. But looking at the last 50 rounds,
Matt Wolf, bad beat.
Looking at the last 50 rounds, he's third in proximity in the field, ninth in birdie or better. He's done very well here. 3 of his 4 appearances were top 10 finishes, and the one that wasn't was a T13. So Sungjae's obviously proven to be able to contend here. I think he can. I don't know. It's the 28. Like I said, I wish it was a little bit longer, but when you're looking at the range of guys that he's in, I don't hate it.
What do we get on a Sungjae top 20 here? Do we get minus 150? That seems like a lock. Like that, I don't think that could lose.
It might be like minus 175, 200. No, based off the odds, I don't know if it will. Well, the only thing is like
based off the odds, but the field, yeah.
Right. A smaller field is kind of going to crunch that. So he might be a little further from even money than we think. But yeah, if it's minus 150, you would almost have to hammer that.
Yeah, Sungjae set the record for birdies in a PGA Tour event. I think it was last year or the year before at this event. So we know he's a birdie maker. We know he loves it here. I struggle to see Sungjae. If there's someone on the back, if I have an outright ticket, back 9 tied for the lead, I don't want that to be Sungjae Im. I would not be confident at all that he closes it out. But he's a great. We'll talk about it. I'll talk about it on DFS, but I think he's a better DFS play than bet. But 28 in a shorter field on a course history, it makes sense. I just back 9, tied for the lead, 0 confidence in Sungjae Im.
Yeah, and if you can catch something around 25 to 30 and get it each way on a top,
for sure,
top 4, top 5 each way, depending on what book you have availability to. But I would definitely check that box.
I can see myself getting to one of these 2 guys at the top of the 20s, Patrick Cantlay or Ludwig Aubert. Ludwig because it's just a big golf course. He's played. I like that he had some fall reps already and got some of that rust out where a lot of the field has really not. And he's thrives in birdie making conditions. And Patrick Cantlay, think of a golf course where you have to bomb it and make a ton of birdies. Caves Valley, won there. So, and he's kind of playing some decent golf. And I feel like this is a really good number on Pat. He was just 8 or 9 to 1, the second favorite at the Hero, and he's dropped down a ton. So I like that number. I think the Ludwig number is fair, but I think the Patrick Cantlay number is good.
Yeah, no, I think Ludwig could be a little bit higher as well. That's pretty good value on him. And like you said, seeing him come back at the Hero after having a little bit of time off with injury was good to see. He was the same version of himself. He doesn't look like he lost a step. So getting a pretty good number on him there. Cantlay, I don't know how to feel about him going into the year. It was such a weird 2024.
Yeah. But just a guy who can light it up on the greens is Patrick Cantlay just go light. He didn't do that one time last year. He didn't have that week where he was just Pat Ice, I'm just gonna make everything. So is he due? Maybe, but you know who else was due for the last 2 years? Justin Thomas, and that really didn't pan out. So I always find myself chasing those kind of guys, those studs who are just due. And it doesn't work out for me. Colin Morikawa, the motherfucker hasn't won in ages. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with Patrick Cantlay. I just think it's a decent number. I would not be surprised if he was in that 16 to 18 range. I would not be shocked at all. So we will see. What are your thoughts on Victor Hovland? I want to ask you. Is he a real golf? What is his deal?
I'm pretty excited about Hovland heading into. If we were recording this last year, him and Scheffler were essentially equals. He had, I think, 3 wins on the PGA Tour. He killed it on the DP World Tour right before. He had a 5th at the BMW, and then he was T2 at the DP World Tour Championship heading into last year, 4th ranked golfer in the world. I think he can definitely. It'd be hard for him to do worse, right?
Right. No, I agree. I
I
do
don't
agree.
think
So
he lost everything. I mean, his schedule was a little smaller than we've normally seen, but he's still the 8th ranked player in the world. It's not like he fell off the face of the earth. He had a handful of top 10 finishes, 3rd at the PGA Championship. Like, if you're, I feel like if you're in on Victor Hovland for 2025, you almost have to take this 30.
well, the thing with Victor is he's been on camera and in interview rooms saying that he hadn't played last year because he didn't feel good enough. And he
Yeah.
was like, if I don't feel like I can play up to my standards, I'm not going to play. So I think this man is grinding to a different degree. Like if I saw he went home to Norway for the holidays, probably not playing there because it's like 3 degrees, but he has to be grinding his ass off because we know how competitive and crazy that man's mind is. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna be in wait and see mode for Victor, but great number. Like this man was.
Yeah.
If you had a 30 on Victor this event last year, you would have thrown all you had on it. So I think it's a good number. I will never hate anyone for betting a 30-1 Victor Hovland. But I'm definitely going to be wait and see. So we're going to get down to the 40s to 50s. Before we get there, two quick ad reads. Definitely go and check out the SGPN app. All of our picks and podcasts in one place for free. Just type in SGPN in the App Store. Now, Underdog Fantasy, Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports. You can win up to 1,000x with Underdog Streaks. Underdog is always making it easier to win with profit boosts and gimme pick'ems, NFL, college hoops, college basketball, MMA, and more. Sign up with code GOLFSGPN to claim your special pick, plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000. That's promo code GOLFSGPN. 2 more ads. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie has been running on SGPN for years. Check out their new and improved website, great on mobile, plus props for every single game in a live dealer casino. We're going to highlight some bets we like at the end of this podcast for sure. So head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN, 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino code. A casino chip, sorry. That's MyBookie AG, promo code SGPN. And finally, SGPN's proud partner Rhythm, the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom models in seconds, get predictions on money lines, spreads, totals, props. You can build your own. You can copy one of theirs, or you can go on one of the top performing models on the leaderboard. Rhythm can also build one for you. Track props in the Rhythm app, which is a new feature. NFL props, college hoops, college football, NBA. Rhythm has it all. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right. Thanks for listening to me ramble. It's time to get to the 40s and 50s. Let's just start with this guy because we thought he was going to live. Is he not? Tony Finau? What's the deal with Tony Finau?
Apparently he's not, but I still am treading lightly because didn't Hatton play in this event last year and then immediately go to live?
Hatton played this and he played the Sony as well.
So if you're intending on signing with Liv, wouldn't you take this massive paycheck in a signature event that you are qualified for and then move on because he's in all the majors?
Dude, I wasn't thinking that at all. I thought Tony was good. But that means more guys are alive to go, at the top.
Right. Because Hatton was I feel like Hatton was in the same boat as Finau was right now, because last year it was we were talking about Hatton potentially going to live, but then it got shot down by a bunch of different spots and then it happened.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a shot to anyone. And I feel like that, fast forward 2 weeks from now, if Finau says he's going to live, would anyone be shocked?
No.
So
with that being said, in the betting sense of things, I think Tony Finau is a horrible bet. I think I've been in the camp last year that Tony Finau does not care about winning. He cares about his family. He cares about bringing his kids to lit par threes and just cashing a paycheck. He does not care enough to win. I truthfully believe that. And I stand on these takes so hard and walk them and sometimes look stupid, but I'm in the camp that Tony Finau is there to collect the paycheck for that easy T8 that he'll get week after week, and he doesn't really care to win. So Tony Finau, cross him off, maybe bet him in matchups. A guy that we can definitely bet him in matchups with because they're around the same odds, and it makes sense here. I think Sam Burns. What's your thoughts on Sam B?
He's actually the guy on my list right in front of me
Let's
in
do
the
it. Yeah,
40
go into
range.
Sam
So
Burns. I knew you were.
yeah, actually, I don't get to Burns too often, but I mean, he ended the year with 5 straight top 15 finishes. Looking over
Yeah,
the
he
last
finished top.
100 rounds, I kind of expand the amount of rounds that I look at when we get a fresh slate. But third in the field in birdie or better over the past 100 rounds. He was fourth on tour in birdie or better in a winless 2024 season. Doesn't have the best course history here, but it's not really course history isn't too sticky. I mean, you'll see guys like get a bunch of top 10, top 15 finishes, but I mean, Chris Kirk, I don't think had really played the event for a really long time before winning
Yeah.
last year. I mean, even like the Gala was horrible the year prior and then had a pretty good result last year. So it's not like I don't need to see great course history to get on somebody. So as long as you've played the
It's a
event,
golf course that makes sense for Sam too. Like
it does.
he hits the ball far off the tee. Sometimes he's a little loose, and then just go make birdies. That's what he does best. So I definitely do like Sam B in this field. At definitely at 40-1. So I'm gonna list off a few names in this 40 to 50 range, and then we'll hop in on a few. Corey Connors. I don't trust his putter in a birdie fest. We'll skip him. Akshay Bhatia, Adam Scott, Wyndham Clark, Shane Lowry, Sahith Theegala, Russell Henley, Ben On, and Bob Mack. Those are the names between 40 and 50-1. So let's touch on a few of those. Anyone you want to start with? Anyone you want to bring up?
50-1. The next one I really got's Wyndham Clark.
Wyndham? Okay. It makes sense for him too. Bomb it and make birdies.
Exactly. I feel like that's what I was kind of looking at. Him and Sam Burns stuck out like a sore thumb when you're looking at birdie makers who hit it a really long way. Has an obvious advantage off the tee where Wyndham Clark might not always be the most accurate driver of the golf ball, but as open as this golf course is, I think he's going to be fine there. He's another guy who I think he was in the top 10 last season in par breakers, which is the percentage of birdies and eagles that you make. And then, I mean, he's the 7th ranked golfer in the world, and we're getting him at 50-1.
Honestly, like I wouldn't mind living in this freaking 40 to 50 range because,
I know.
like you said, Sam Burns, Wyndham Clark makes sense. Sahith Theegala is the same style of golfer. Bomb it, be a little loose, and he's a birdie maker at the heart.
Yep.
Ben On, if the putter can cooperate a little bit, hits the ball so far, and he putted better last year. And then Akshay Bhatia, dude, this dude played so well in Birdie Fest last year, and he stripes it off the tee. And fun fact about Akshay Bhatia, when there's a body of water near, he fucks. Look at his top results. Whenever he's near water, he fucks hard. So there's like 5 or 6 names in this range that I think definitely make sense for sure.
Yeah. I was looking to get to Akshay as well because I feel like he is a guy that can go extremely low. But yeah, like you said, it's a very cluttered range of 40 to 50. But when you get some of the best golfers in the world, you're going to get some pretty good values, and that's kind of what we're staring at right here.
There's going to be someone, I mean, it's Thursday right now. There's going to be one of these golfers in that we just listed off that gets absolutely blasted up towards 35-1. That's where they're going to close. So I don't mind living in this 40 to 50-1 range. I really think you can find some value, and one of these guys is going to get in the mix. That's a fact. So pick 2 of them, pick 3 of them, and then run with that. I really do think it. And I mean, golfers like Akshay, Sahith, though they're young studs that are just, it's a matter of time until they grab a big win. Why can't it be here? Like, truthfully.
I know.
So, I mean, Sahith almost won last year, so I'm down.
I agree.
I'm definitely down.
I was, I love Davis Thompson. I was kind of looking at him.
Where is he at?
65.
He's lower down. Let's go down this next range.
I can't really get to him at 65, but he was one that kind of piqued my interest. I'm not sure this is the spot for him. Max Grazerman's interesting, but also
honestly, yeah, Grazerman, he's just
possibly too low.
He's been just doing so much with the putter that it's like, okay, this looks like 2023 fall Taylor Montgomery. Like eventually he's gonna fall off of a cliff with the putter. And I just like I said, I just can't trust that. Although it's a course that you have to putt well, he's never played here before. I'm gonna take the back seat to Grazerman because I think there's some guys at 100-1 and below. So there's not really too many names in this 70 to 80 range. I don't mind Taylor Pendrith, a birdie maker who hits the ball a decent long way. And he putts so well last season. He definitely found something with the putter. Anyone else you want to mention before we get to triple digits?
You got me again. Pendrith is also on my
Pendrith?
list.
I
I'm
love
kind
Pendrith.
of, as you can tell, I'm kind of looking for the same type of golfer. But I mean, like last year at this time, he wasn't really even a thought. He was outside of the top 100 in the world. Had a pretty solid season. Had his first win at an event where he had to shoot 23 under and go pretty low. So that's obviously good to see. And then ended the year with 6 straight top 25 finishes. And looking over the last 25 rounds, he's second in the field in birdie or better. So another guy who can hit it a long ways and score when he needs to. So I like seeing guys who win in events like 20 under or lower, because it shows
it's
they
a
can
skill.
at least do
It's
it.
definitely a skill. Yep.
So
All right, 100 to 1 and below. We'll get into triple digits. Definitely some names that are catching my eye. 2 names that I immediately like at 100 to 1, Nick Dunlap and Max fucking Homa. The most unserious golfer on the planet. Max, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep saying it until you hit a fairway. But this is a course where you could be wild and hit it right, hit it left, and probably still be in the fairway. So Max Homa last year was so damn good from once he got into the fairway. He was good with the putter, good up with the irons, good around the greens. He just couldn't. He has the driver yips. Shout out my friend Adam, who called him having the driver yips like in February of last year, and it never came back. He looked more confident at the Ned Bank. He finished, I think, T5 or T6, which is just a random DP World Tour event.
yeah,
But it's a positive for sure. And just get him in the fairway. 100 to 1. He's finished T3 here before. Like, if there's someone tired for lead in the back 9 with 9 holes to go, Max Homa has dog. Like, I would want Max Homa in that situation. He was in the mix.
That's a really good number. Like you said, T3 a couple years ago, T14 last year isn't like the worst finish in the world. And then obviously the recent form at the Ned Bank. I mean, he's another guy that last year, who knows, his odds were he was probably 40 to 1 last year, maybe
at
lower.
Most.
So
yeah,
I don't think he's a guy that's going to go away. There's a couple guys here in this 100 to 1 range where you're still getting a very high quality of golfer. So Harry Hall's a guy who I kind of looked towards. 150 to 1. ISCO championship was his first win, similar to Pendrith. Minus 22 got him the win, so showed that he was able to do it. I think that was wasn't that a 5-man playoff that he ended up winning?
Yeah, that was a crazy event. That was the week of the Open, I think, or the week before the Open. The week of the Scottish Open, I think.
Because I don't think there was a whole lot of people over there, but still, either way, he's a guy who can score when needed. Was actually third on tour last season in par breakers behind just Scotty Scheffler and Keith Mitchell somehow. So Harry Hall, for a guy who can score, I think I'm gonna look towards his placements. But if you wanted to sprinkle a 150 to 1, I mean, he's shown that he can win, and he's shown that he can go low. So.
Yeah, and look, to mention Dunlap again, I mean, the man just turned 21. He won 2 Birdie Fest last year. The kid, I've talked about it on other podcasts before. Seeing Nick Dunlap in the practice round, seeing Nick Dunlap in person, you would think he's won 8 majors. The way he carries himself and walks is no surprise that he's won like he's won. And I was shocked to see it like in person with my own eyes. I'm like, this. First of all, he's a massive guy, and he like walks around like he fucking owns the place. So that's the dog and energy you need to like be a freaking winner. Like you don't just win twice at 20 years old. So Nick Dunn, 100 to 1. I'm not gonna overthink that. I really and like that'll be one of my first bets. I guess Nick Dunn, 100 to 1. I definitely can see him. So let's go down the board a little more. Talk about a few more long shots that can take your attention. Anyone else you're looking at down there?
One guy that I don't particularly like, but I'm just like he caught my eye scrolling down the hundreds is how about Matt Fitzpatrick? T7,
I can't.
T14 the last 2 times here. He was so bad last year.
So bad. The thing with my take with Matt Fitzpatrick is another just galaxy brain take that I do is once you get married on the Jersey Shore, you stop caring about golf. And that's what happened to Matt Fitzpatrick. He got married on the Jersey Shore to some girl from the Jersey Shore, and he immediately stopped playing good golf. So who knows where his head's at? Hopefully 2025 can change that, because I don't hate Fitz. I want Fitz to play well. So 100 to 1 though, I like him better in difficult conditions. I can't see him gaining enough strokes on approach to hit enough close shots. So That's my Matt Fitz take, but I can see someone a little lower, maybe getting into the top 10. Maybe this is a placement bet when it comes, or two guys, Stefan Yeager and Cameron Davis, guys that both bomb it
Yeah.
and can get scorching hot in terms of making birdies. So those two guys, I definitely, I'm happy that they're playing this event because I can see them playing well.
Yeah, I find that's the exact profile of guys that we were kind of talking about the entire show. So
Yeah. So
outside of that, I don't know. You got to go. I don't know. You really got to go crazy, but
yeah, I mean, look for someone who can game with the driver, game with the putter. Thomas Dietrich, that's all he does well. But yeah, those could be more DFS / matchup guys. So let's give us each give out 3 picks, and we'll get out of here. You want to lead us off? Who you starting your card with?
yeah, top of the board. I'm leading off my card with Justin Thomas at 16-1. Hopefully, 2025 is nice to Justin Thomas, and he gets back to the form that we saw back in the day when he was finishing inside the top 5 on a yearly basis. So Justin Thomas, 16-1.
All right. Definitely take this with a grain of salt and check back on Wednesday. But if I had to make a betting card right now, I would start with Patrick Cantlay, 25-1. I think it's just a great number. And like I said, the man can just get scorching hot with the putter. And I like I said, I think he's due. So we'll go with Pat Ice. Who's your next guy?
Second guy, we might double up here, but Sam Burns at 40-1. Just a guy who can make a ton of birdies, and a guy whose number I think should be a little bit lower. So I think we're getting a pretty good number here on Sam Burns at 40-1.
I'm gonna skip Sam Burns. I'm gonna go with Sahith at 50-1 because Sahith, like, this is one of the courses I wait for Sahith to play on a yearly basis. I just think it makes so much sense for him, and I'm not going to pass it up. I bet him last year, I think 75-1, and that was a sweat. So I would be really upset if I didn't bet him this year and he ended up winning. So Sahith 50.
And then my third one, I'll go down to 75. Taylor Pendrith, another guy who's pretty long off the tee, ended in pretty good form the 2024 calendar year, and has shown the ability to make birdies. So I'm going to go with Taylor Pendrith at 75-1 as my final outright.
All right. Finally, like I just said, Nick Dunlap, you don't turn 21 and have 2 PGA Tour wins in Birdie Fest for no reason. The guy hits it long way. He loves making birdies, and he is a stud. I can see another multi-win season coming for Dunlap, and maybe a freaking major. I love the kid. So Nick Dunlap, 100-1. Dom, great show as always. Thank you for joining me, and definitely stay tuned to all the content, both my page, both Dom's page. Let's have a great 2025. Let's start it with a win. So thanks for being here, Dom.
You got it.